Hello, everybody! Tô ao vivo agora, gente. Hello, my friends! Hoje, dia 6 de dezembro de 2022, trouxe aqui para vocês hoje uma conversa que eu tive com Denis Vashchuk, né, meu amigo ali da Rússia, ele falando sobre, ele trabalha com TI na realidade, né, gente, IT, né, e ele trabalha com isso, só que ele me entrevistou, né, eu participei de uma entrevista onde ele me perguntou um pouco como que é aprender inglês, né, se tem uma diferença de aprender inglês no Brasil, na Rússia, como que é a melhor forma de aprender inglês, que material usar, quanto tempo leva o processo, né, de aprendizado do inglês, né? Então, a nossa conversa hoje vai ser uma conversa aqui de meia horinha, né, sobre esse assunto. Estamos ao vivo, se você quiser participar no chat aqui, ou se você está me assistindo gravado, duas coisas importantes. Primeiro, você pode pôr a legenda, para você entender 100% o que a gente está conversando ali. Pratica um pouco o seu listening, né, para praticar um pouco do conceito que eu chamo de língua franca. Língua franca, para quem não conhece, é bem simples, gente. Eu falo português e eu não sei falar russo. Denis, ele fala russo, ele não sabe falar português. Então, nós dois se comunicou em inglês. Isso é o conceito da língua franca, uma língua em comum entre as duas pessoas ali conversando. Então, a gente bateu um papo sobre isso, foi bem bacana, foi bem interessante. Meia horinha de conversação. Tá me assistindo gravado? Deixa aqui os seus comentários. Fala aí, quanto por cento você tá entendendo aí da conversa também, tá bom? Não tá entendendo nada? Deixa a legenda passando para você entender toda a conversa, pegar um pouco do sotaque, né? O Denis tem um sotaque russo, of course, alright? Então é isso, gente. Espero que gostem da live e lá no final eu volto aqui para vocês para falar um pouquinho mais, tirar algumas dúvidas, tá bom? Então fiquem com a minha conversa com Mr. My Friend Denis.
Yes, I want to ask questions, Katyana. First, in Russia, a lot of people learn English and have some problem, maybe same problem in Brazil. Because in Brazil, a lot of people don't know English, know some Spanish, Portugal languages, and that's all. What's your recommendations? I mean, for Russian, for foreign people who want to learn English, because we have different schools who teach English for old method. Maybe people learning grammar and don't learn and don't know how to learn English speaking, for example, practice in English. What's your opinion?
I think my opinion is the most controversial for some people here in Brazil. My recommendation for people learning the language, learning English, is don't study English. That's my recommendation. Don't study English. And that's the problem in Brazil. People have been studying grammar. In Brazil, we only study verb to be. Verb to be in the first, second, forever, verb to be. So if you don't study the language, if you study something with the language, it's way easier. It's way more enjoyable. For example, supposedly I am a musician and I want to learn an instrument. If I take to learn that instrument in English, the probability for me to speak English will be much faster and more natural and more specific for my business. I will learn that ABC can be the chords of my guitar. So I recommend for the people to study something they enjoy in English and always get the most possible authentic material as the authentic materials, which is realistic materials, not materials made for students. Because when this material is made for students, it will made it easier. It would change the tone. You know, when people start talking like, "Hello, Dennis, are you okay? Are you?"
Yes, I am Denis. I am from Russia, and I don't know English.
Like I'm treating you like you were stupid, and they're not stupid. You are a normal human being. So I prefer to force a little bit better and have this naturality, and not only just teaching a language. Similarly to people going to the gym, when you start a new language, similarly to the gym, you are having a new ability. So you it's not just going to the gym. No, you have to change your habits, eating habits, your time to sleep, because this will change, not only it will change your body, your life. And
Absolutely true. Absolutely
English
true.
English is the same for me. So that's one of my biggest recommendations. Don't study the language unless if you want to be an English teacher. Oh, you want to be an English teacher? Study the language. You study grammar. You study what's present
Absolutely true.
perfect.
Absolutely
You
true.
study, you study what is simple past, irregular verbs, irregular verbs. If you don't want to be an English teacher, don't study the language and study something with the language. Eventually, you will see something in the language. That's fine.
I agree with you, but for example, you need to know how it does it works. For example, if you know how does it works, for example, 12 forms of verbs in English, you need to know. That's all. But I agree with you. You need to learn basic basic verbs. For example, not all, not 200. For what reason? Maybe 50 verbs, irregular verbs. That's all. That's enough for ordinary people. And you need to more practice. If you practice more, never mind. You know English or you don't know English. You learn English with practice. That's all. How much time do you need for learning English? Not like a native speaker, maybe uh, for for English speaking, for normal English speaking. If you want to communicate with foreigners, for example, you want to reserve some hotel or rent some apartment.
I will come back to my other analogy with the gym. It's the same of the gym. How much time will I need to change my body, to pass through a body transformation? It depends. It depends on how many times I go to the gym. It depends on my diet. Imagine I'm going to the gym like crazy, but I continue eating 3 pizzas per day. Probably my goal will not be achieved in the same time of somebody that is doing something correctly. So depending of how immersive you are in the language, if you are okay, I'm studying English, okay, so I want to study English in 2 months, it's possible, yes. If I put my cell phone in English, if I start finding people to speak English online, if I put all my Google, my computer in English, and I stop listening to music in Russia or in Portuguese, and I only listen to music in English, the more immersive I am in the language, faster my goal will be achieved. So I believe that one person in the beginning level B1, in 2 months doing this immersive language will go to B1 in within 2 to 3 months, and that is B1 B2 level in Cambridge is perfect for regular communication. Like you said, you're not going to be a native speaker. I believe never you will, because native of what? Native of Texas, native of no, but you will be able to communicate properly the same way
Absolutely true.
you communicate with your own language.
And people understand you first. First, you need to understand that these people understand you. And never
Exactly.
mind, you know grammar, English, you speak correct or not correct. People understand you.
I always suggest this division in the mind of my students to divide communication versus accuracy. So these are two different things. First, you have to deal with the communication. You speak, people understand it. When you have a problem in the communication, then you have to worry. But accuracy comes after, because accuracy, not even in our languages, me speaking Portuguese, I will not have this accuracy when I speak in Portuguese. So why should I try this accuracy in English if native speakers don't use English with accuracy, right?
So funny.
Staying there crazy learning. She doesn't. And then you go to US, oh man, she don't know that. And you, oh damn it. Thinking
for
that you,
example, for example, it's so interesting. In China, many people from the United States, from England, come to China, teach Chinese children English, teach English for Chinese children. It's so
you done
funny because
you've done that, right? You've done that.
yes, what I mean, some people, native speakers from England and from United States, don't speak correct, don't know some rules. from English.
And then they have the Chinese people teaching them the rules. Like, no, that's the correct one. Ah, okay, man.
Yes, the native speaker said that's
Any
correct.
language, have that. So my suggestion for the students is, it's nice to learn through books, through English books, Cambridge material. It's okay, it's valid, but the best is authentic materials. So if I want to learn, and this goes not only for English, any other language. So if I would like to learn Russian, probably I would watch television, I would listen to songs, I would surround myself from the language, listen to radios. Probably my Russian would be achieved within 2 or 3 months if I put myself into it, right? That's what I would recommend for English. Go for the authentic materials. My project, Popcorn English Online, is exactly about that. It's not classes with teacher Kachiano. No. My students learn through movies, through books, through songs, through the gym. So they can go to the gym and take the 3 months training with and learning English in the process. So it's fantastic, man. You don't need to stop your life to learn English. No, you put English inside your natural life.
Absolutely true. I agree with you. And first, you need to enjoy it. If you enjoy the study, you learn it. If you don't enjoy what you do, you can't learn. It's not possible.
It will be harder.
It will be harder, and you don't like it, and you don't want it, and you don't learn it. That's all.
Yeah. Can you imagine somebody at the gym? Oh man, these damn dumbbells. No, enjoy. If you don't enjoy, find something else. Do sports, CrossFit, or any other something that will be more enjoyable. If you don't like to walk in the treadmill in the gym, go to the park and walk in the park. And so English is exactly the same. You need to find your sweet spot, and you find that's what I like it. Okay, so I will put this in English. It will come much easier and faster because you are enjoying the process, right? So many people, when we talk about, for example, diets, they think, oh, I have to stop a lot of things and I have to stop eating these. No, don't focus on what you have to stop eating. Focus on what you can eat now, and you have more options. Oh, now you can eat this, you can eat that, and that's much better. And after your natural habits, I created on I think it's on my Instagram, Popcorn English Online. I created one iceberg, which is fantastic. The idea, let me show you here, is on the Instagram.
Okay.
And I put it one iceberg that says how people should think about the language. So in the first level, I put, okay, in the first level, think about your habits. Think about your language. In this case here, I put Portuguese, but habits. And after, as you go down in the level E2, think about more authentic materials, something more realistic, and books and movies and anything that you think it's more proper for your language. And don't worry so much about achieving C1, C2. Oh, I need to become native. No. If you are arrived in the B1, B2, you can be considered fluent in the language because you are communicating. I think if people focus on that, man, that's just perfect.
Absolutely true. You need to understand for what reason you need to learn English first. The second, you need to enjoy it. Enjoy the process of learning English.
Nice.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more with you.
I learn English. It's so funny. I learn speaking English when I travel to Thailand. In Thailand, I rent some cheap apartment and hostel.
Wow, man.
No Russian people here, only foreigners from France, United States, Scotland, England. And I just communicate speaking with these people, just like drinking some beer. Because, if you don't thinking much about it, how much grammar, how I speak, just speaking, that's all. Speaking and practice, people say, okay, maybe you need to speak something like that. Maybe you don't need to speak. Okay, but you practice and you don't be afraid. Just be friend. if you speak more often with foreign people, and just don't speak with yours. For example, for me, for native speaker like Russian speaker, also I'm Russian. I don't communicate with Russian speaker. I communicate in English with foreigners, and I improve my English maybe for 2 level higher, because I speak only English. I don't use my native language. I
Do you
use only
do you
English
remember how
for
long
fun.
did it? Do you
For
remember
fun,
how
and
long did
drink
it take?
beer, just communicate with some girls, with some friends of mine, just communicate, and then it's so funny, it's so easy.
Cool,
Just
man.
let's go to drink beer, okay? Let's go and take it, and we communicate.
What do you prefer, man? English books or beer to learn?
Beer with foreigners.
For sure, for sure. And how long ago? Do you remember how long did you take it to go from zero to acceptable?
For acceptable, maybe if I communicate with foreign people, for example, native speakers, I communicate. I just maybe for 1 month, 2 months. That's all, and
Oh
I can
man,
speak not like a native speaker, but I can speak fluent.
you could
Sometimes I
communicate.
speak fluent with problem with grammar, but people understand me. I speak fast, and people understand me.
Cool, man. Because you were learning the closest to natural, right? You were not
Absolutely
learning.
true, right? And I have a mixed accent. I don't have a Russian accent. For example, you know how Russian people are speaking. For example, we have some letters like Russian letters. For example, O, A, I, U. It's Russian letters. In English, we don't have these same letters. And for
Okay.
example, some Russian people who don't speak like a native speaking like, "Hello, how are you? I am
Uh,
fine."
I-
I don't speak.
In Brazil, we have the problem to put extra vowel sound. So Facebook would sound like Facebooking, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. So WhatsApp. So we have that. That's the sound a hot doggy, not hot dog. So
I understand. For
that's the
example,
normal Brazilian accent.
especially in Russian language, for example, some foreign marks, for example, Chanel in English. For example, Mercedes. It's like it's Russian pronunciation. For example,
Oh,
China in Russian, but Russian people speak not China, say China.
China.
That's so funny because same word
Yeah.
but different pronunciation. First,
Cool.
I will recommend to learn pronunciation letters. For example, you need to know how to speak letters like A, B, C, D, like A, B, C, D, E, F. It's
Cool.
first. You need to know how to speak these letters. For example, in Russian language, we don't have A, we have A, different letters.
Yeah, like in Brazil, very close to Brazil. In Brazil, we say "a" as well.
Yes, because you know different letters, different pronunciation. And it's first.
Awesome.
If you know letters, you communicate letters in some words, and you speak well because you know you have a good pronunciation.
Cool.
I don't speak like a native speaker, but I don't speak like a Russian. I have a mixed accent, and people who communicate with me think he's not Russian. Maybe he's from Canada. Maybe he's from Iceland.
And that's the lingua franca that we talked to the other time, right? Learn the lingua franca, and that's just fine for you.
I like lingua franca, and you know, you just write some books by method of lingua franca, and you learn faster. You learn grammar, you learn reading, because you know you read with translation first, and the second you learn same page without translation, and you learn it.
Nice.
It's good
And
for reading, but for speaking, never mind. If you don't know grammar, you can improve it if you practice with native speaker.
cool,
Maybe
man.
use simple phrases first, then you can construction more harder. You create harder construction, but first simple. It's like like a ride on bicycle. You like on ride on bicycle like a child. Like a child, you have a vehicles. No, not vehicles. I don't know how to translate. You know, round
Y-
uh,
y-
three
Yeah, with the wheels, right, or something like this,
like
like a
wheels,
bike.
three wheels. For example, then you use only two wheels, and you just first you need to use your legs. If you use your legs faster, you run faster, but you can crush it. If you learn slowly, you don't learn it. But if you have a normal moving or normal speed, you can learn it, you can improve it, and you can speak like a native speaker.
Nice. And so you recommend, for example, one Russian learning the language, avoid using the translation to the language, like translating. Oh, this is this. Do you prefer to not use the translation, or you think it's nice to have the translation for things?
What I mean, you need to know basic words, for example, uh, basic verbs, basic words, and basic phrases. That's all.
Cool.
For example, you need to know, for example, I, you, we, they, forms of to be, and 50 verbs. It's like mathematics, for example.
Cool.
First, then you improve your language. Maybe you need to learn 200 verbs, maybe, but maybe you don't need to learn it. Maybe you need to communicate often. If you communicate,
Focus on what is essential, right?
yes, you need to understand focus for what reason you need to learn English. If you want to learn English for travel, you don't need to learn 200 verbs. Maybe you need to learn simple phrases. That's all. Just write in your notebook, and if you have some question, you just ask the question. For example, where is the post office? Where is the railway station? How much
Cool.
is the ticket?
See that I am in the right direction because that's exactly what I recommend the students in my platform, the Popcorn English Online. I put and I created exactly this concept of realistic materials with what focus on what is necessary, focus in the priorities in one of the course, because there's a different kind of courses, right? For reading, for business, for cinema. One of the courses is with the TV show Friends,
Mhm.
and in this course with Friends, the first lesson number one, is not a grammar lessons. No, I put 10 most used verbs. 10 most verbs you okay. This is the verbs that if you learn these verbs, you will survive enough. And after
Absolutely.
when you go that, in the second lesson, you go to WH questions to learn how to ask these questions you just described. And after the person from there, with not only with the teachers, but with the real episodes, you learn this kind of topics. And going to the man, I'm very happy. I see that I'm not in the wrong direction here.
Yes, what I mean, if you go to the university, you need to pass the exam. For example, TEFL, test of English language skills, or you need to pass the exam IELTS. You need to learn grammar. You need to learn three parts.
And I put these separately for my students so they understand that that is not necessarily English. It's not necessarily fundamental, but it's like another course. Okay, it's like in Brazil we do the ENEM, which is a test to test it. So I have to study for this test, not only for the language. That language is one thing. This test is another piece of cake, another detail in the
Absolutely
platform.
true.
In this platform, for example, I prepare my students if
Mhm.
they need to have a certification, they prepare for the IELTS, for example,
IELTS, right? That's
which is
correct.
one of the certification. I don't prepare for the TOEFL yet, but the IELTS, so they take this course here, and here in this course, okay, here I will learn grammar, I will pay attention in details, I will go because now I'm studying. I need that for one certification or for
Yes, yes. IELTS, you need to learn only one reason, only two reasons. Uh, you want to study abroad, maybe in England, maybe in United States. Yes, that's correct. Or your employer, your potential employer, want to take some people with IELTS certification, with TEFL certification. But for me, as IT specialist, for example, I communicate with different IT companies. IT companies won't take people who speak English. They want to take people who have a certificate from IELTS, TEFL. It's never mind. Only people who have a things, who have a brains, and who can solve the problems. That's all. You don't need to pass the IELTS exam, TEFL exam, if you don't need to study abroad. If you want to work abroad, you need to have a skills. For example, you need to brains, and you need to communicate with people, and people understand you.
Cool, man. Cool. So I'm very happy to see that it's weird, right, man? You are in Russia. I'm here in Brazil, but we kind of think alike
Yes.
on how to deal with the language. And in Brazil, the majority of people, I don't know how this happens in your place. Here in Brazil, the people is starting to realize this necessity to change the mind and not study verb to be forever. They can learn other verbs, they can do other things, and they can be more realistic. We have a lot of English schools in Brazil, but after the pandemic they start changing this mindset. I hope they change it very fast. While they don't change it, I'm here trying to teach make my students get certificate, but with TV shows, movies, and much more realistic
Absolutely. You
materials.
need to enjoy it.
Invite all your friends and people studying English in Russia to see my material, right? To understand a little bit how this methodology works. If you guys like it, I'm with this name here. I'll be on the YouTube, Instagram, and in the platform. So I hope that they have the chance, and you too, man. You are invited to browse around to see a little bit of this platform. Tell me what do you think about this methodology?
Okay, I just try it, and maybe I just have a feedback for you. What I thinking about this platform. Okay,
Nice.
thank you for your time, Katiana. I can speak in Russian. Спасибо большое за уделенное время. I hope we create some translation, maybe for foreigners in Twitch, and I hope a lot of people want to learn English in our planet. And never mind, from Russia, from Brazil, from Portugal, from Germany, a lot of people want to learn it. And
Nice.
a lot of people, it's so pity, don't know how to learn English. We want to learn, but we don't know how. We learn like, school program. School program, you just write some textbook, notebook, just learn it, and just I forgot it. Oh, I forgot it. I don't know how to translate this program because just write it, just create some lessons, just finish some tasks, and don't learn English or don't know English because just I just finish these tasks. I show my teacher, and okay, but don't know it.
Yeah, so that's terrible. I hope they change this in the future.
I hope so. Because the world had changed. Maybe education system had changed it.
Cool.
Will changing because
Nice. I sign whatever you said, man. I sign below.
Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome, man. Very good, my friends. E foi isso. Essa foi a nossa conversa sobre língua franca, como estudar inglês usando Authentic Materials e quanto tempo mais ou menos leva. Coloca aí nos comentários quanto que você entendeu, se tiver alguma dúvida, ou comenta, né? Não esquece de deixar o seu like, né? Para o seu algoritmo entender que você está estudando inglês e agora estudando inglês com diferentes sotaques, né? Different accents, ok, guys? E se inscreva nesse canal para mais aulas de inglês. Esse mês de dezembro de 2022 eu vou trazer bastante inglês com trailer. Então todos os trailers que saíram, os trailers que estão saindo, spoiler, já vou falar de John Wick 4 no nosso próximo vídeo. Então, se inscreve aí para você não perder essas próximas sequências de lives que vai vir, e vou trazer uma novidade para você que ainda não utiliza Popcorn English Online, nossa plataforma de inglês. Vou trazer uma novidade, ó, supimpa durante esse mês aí de dezembro, então não fica de fora não, tá bom, gente? E deixa eu mostrar aqui para vocês, muito importante, aqui no vídeo, ó, deixa eu voltar aqui, ó, vocês estão assistindo aqui esse vídeo, né, ó, aqui na descrição do vídeo, clica aqui em Show More, mostrar mais, vocês vão ter aqui, ó, para você conhecer a nossa plataforma, 7 dias gratuitos, tá aqui na plataforma. Tem aqui uma outra entrevista que eu dei pro Denis no canal dele, ele me perguntando sobre a cultura brasileira, o que comer, onde ir, onde visitar no Brasil, e para eu definir o Brasil em 3 palavras. Eu deixei esse vídeo também aqui, né, um vídeo um pouco até maior, foi uma conversa de 40 minutos. Se você gostou desse vídeo, chegou aqui até agora, provavelmente você vai curtir esse vídeo também, tá aí na descrição. E também siga o Denis nas redes sociais, né, ele que foi professor de inglês lá na China, gente. Então, siga ele nas redes sociais também, e claro, siga Popcorn English Online, né, ali no Instagram também, para não ficar de fora de nada que está acontecendo. Alright, my friends, thank you so very much. Kisses in your heart, e nos vemos na próxima live aí para falar de inglês com trailers. Bye bye, see you.